In this episode of the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast, I got the whole crew with me today, the whole Locked On NBA Big Board crew, and we are here because it's a special occasion. It is opening night in the NBA, but we are here to talk about the rookies. We're going to make our predictions for the 2024 NBA draft class. My question for everybody is this class as bad as it seemed? But find out our thoughts on who's going to win Rookie of the Year, all rookie teams, how many rookies are going to start on opening night, which rookies are going to play rotation minutes on the playoff team, and who is the best second-round pick that is going to exceed expectations. Stay tuned. Big shout out to each and every person that has made the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast your first listen of the day. I'm your host, Rafael Barlowe, along with my co-host. Like I mentioned, I got the whole team with me. If you're watching on YouTube, at the top of the screen next to me is my brother, James Barlowe. Right below me is Leif Thulin, the guy that watches more college basketball than anyone else. And then next to Leif is Richard Stayman, Mr. Mavs draft, even though he has relocated to the East Coast. Are you like Mavs, Magic, Wizards draft now?
We'll call it that.
Is there even an acronym for that? MMW?
Yeah, I need something more creative. I need to figure it out.
Something definitely more creative. All right, before we get into this episode, I want to let you know that this episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. And if you are not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please subscribe, like, share, comment. Make sure you click the bell so you can be notified every time we drop, because we're coming at you with the episode 5 days a week, and that's at the very minimum. And we are your source for NBA draft content, because who else is bringing draft content for you every single day? All right, guys, opening night is here. We're probably, 3 hours away from tip-off. I was going to say there's probably not too many rookies that are going to play tonight, but I think we're going to see Dalton Connect. I don't know how much we're going to see of Rob Dillingham in the second game. The Knicks may play some of their rookies, maybe Kolek. I saw maybe Bacome Dadier may play, since the Knicks, I think they only got like 12 active players or something like that. And then maybe Ariel Huckporty, since Precious Achiuwa is out. But anyway, first of all, I'm going to start with you, Leif. Is this class, the 2024 NBA draft class, was it as bad as advertised?
If there's a bad class, the first year it looks decent because there's going to be someone that outperforms and it looks better. And then if you look at the course of history and you look at the win shares and you look at how many of those players become all-stars, that's when the history actually tells its tale, and it probably won't be that special of a class, to be honest with you. But I think in the first season, it's going to look better because you're going to see a few guys impact winning on a team, whether it's the Zach Edey's of the world on a good team that we predict in the Grizzlies, or is it the Stephon Castle playing next to Wembanyama, someone like that, I think is going to make it like, oh, have we made a mistake and misjudged this class? I think the history, when it tells its tale, it'll probably tell us that there's only one or two all-stars from this class. I don't think there's that many game-changing talents in that class.
What are your thoughts, James?
One or two all-stars probably sounds about right. I think this is going to be a class judged on maybe not like, again, all-star talent or even superstar talent, which you'll sit here and say 7, 8, 9 guys are like really, really good. I think you'll get a really good gauge of where these guys are when it's payday in 3 years? Yeah. So we'll see who gets extended, what kind of contracts they're getting. So
speaking of that, I was doing just some numbers for the 21 draft. I want to say, just off the top of my head, there's like 4 or 5 guys that were lottery picks in that draft that I think it's an important year for them, I should say. From Davion Mitchell to, Josh Primo's out. James Bouknight is out. Chris Duarte, I think he's hanging on by a thread. I'm missing somebody else. Zaire Williams, this is a big year for him. And then you look at the guy that was the second pick in the 2021 draft, Jalen Green. He didn't even get a max deal, and that's a whole different subject. All right, Richard, what do you think about this class? Is it going to exceed expectations, or is it going to be like a down year like everyone is predicting.
Yeah, I agree with James and Leif. I mean, even in 2013, everybody thought that was such a bad class. We were like, who could even be an all-star in this? And, we actually still have two pretty good players. We have arguably the second best player in the league from that draft. And you never know from any draft class. I think I've said it before, but basketball is so good now that just across the globe, even bad classes are so much better now than they were 25 years ago. Like in the 2000 draft, that class was abysmal. Something like that could never truly happen in today's basketball landscape with how global it is. So I think somebody's going to be pretty good here. Like we'll get a couple all-stars, multiple time all-stars, but I don't think we're going to see a franchise player from this draft. I think it's going to be a pretty deep in the middle class.
So I'm looking at the 20 or 2000 draft class. Kenyon Martin was number 1. He had a long career. I think he made an all-star team. Yeah, looking back at that class. Turkoglu, I mean, you had some good guys. Michael Redd. Jamal Crawford had a long career. Yeah, just going by this lottery. Those guys didn't last long.
I think one of the few all-stars from that class is such a weird sentence. Jamal McGlure. That gives you an idea of where that class was.
Yeah. Yeah, Jamal McGlure and Michael Redd are the only two off the top of them that I'm looking at. And then, Kmart made it once. Yeah, that was a rough class. All right, let's get right to it. Rookie of the year. Who's going to win Rookie of the Year?
I mean, I'll start. I think it's Reed Sheppard. I think this year, nobody is going to pop in terms of totals, but I think he's going to pop in efficiency, and that's where he's going to be on a team that's probably flirting with the play-in. And if he has extremely efficient numbers yet again, like if that translates up from college, I don't see why it wouldn't, given his role. I think he's going to get it.
Is Reed going to get enough minutes to be Rookie of the Year?
I think he is. I think it's going to be impossible to keep off the floor.
On one hand, I think so, but I don't know. It seems like everything I'm hearing is Ime wants to win now, and he's not going to have a lot of trust in the younger guys. And so I could see him leaning on Van Vliet a little bit more. And I remember around the draft, the rumor was that he wanted to trade the pick because he didn't think there was a rookie that he could throw out there on a Gilgeous-Alexander, a Luka, or somebody like that. And he wanted a veteran. And then even in the preseason, I feel like Reed didn't really get a lot of minutes. If I'm not mistaken, he was 2 of 11 on 3. Is that correct? In the preseason?
I think he had a dud of a game. But I mean, it's still his first taste in his preseason. I don't hold it over his head. It's one thing for someone like him versus an upside player. I don't know. It's just preseason doesn't hold weight to me.
I just think that, I don't know. I mean, correct me if you think I'm wrong, but I feel like he's in the same situation as a lot of guys. There's not a really, really clear-cut path for him to get a lot of minutes because you figure Van Vliet is going to play a lot. I assume Jalen Green is going to play a lot unless they're playing him at the backup point. But, it's possible. Who's your choice, James?
I'm going to go with Zach Edey. I feel like he has the easiest pathway to minutes. Again, they do have a 3-big rotation, which you see Jaren Jackson Jr. is already hurt. He's not playing tomorrow. I think even when he is there, Edey should be able to play 24 minutes. And if you decide to go small with your sixth man, which is, I don't know, Marcus Smart or whoever, and you say, all right, we'll go small, and then we'll have Jaren Jackson play the 5, and you say Zach Edey's getting minutes against second unit bigs, he's going to eat those guys up.
Yeah, I've got Edey easily, actually. I think the thing about Zach Edey is, even if his numbers look somewhat pedestrian of 12 and 6, that's not typical Rookie of the Year numbers. I think the fact that he's going to be doing it on a team that has aspirations to make the playoffs, maybe even get home court in the playoffs because they're young and hungry and revitalized after a down year. As long as Ja Morant's healthy, Edey's going to get a couple dunks a game. He's going to get rebounds per game. And he's just got the clearest pathway to playing time. Not only playing time, but impactful playing time. Reed Sheppard, to me, is not going to play more than 20 minutes for most of the year. And so I'd be pretty shocked on that one. And then Castle has to play next to Chris Paul, and it takes the ball out of his hands. And I think Castle may end up being the best player in this class, but I just don't think he's got the pathway in his rookie year to win Rookie of the Year.
I think I'm going to go with a guy that I think has the most direct path to getting a lot of minutes and freedom. I'm going to go to Alex Sarr. I don't think there's a situation where he plays less than 27, 28 minutes per game. And just by numbers, I think he's going to get, have decent numbers. I think his numbers could be even better than Edie's. But the Wizards are probably going to be one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in the league. And so I guess it's going to depend on, in my opinion, it's going to depend on, are you going to go with, a guy like Edie, who's been productive on a team that is expected to make the playoffs, or Sarr's just, accounting stats. So that's my choice. All right. When we return, we got a lot to cover. We're going to talk about the all rookie teams. This is where it can get a little tricky. We can find 10 guys, name the top 10 rookies from this class. But before we get into the all rookie teams, let's talk about FanDuel. If you're an NFL fan, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, which is America's #1 sports book. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more. And it's on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's at FanDuel.com. All right, second segment, all rookie teams. We'll start with you, James.
Check my notes here. I got Edie, Castle, Shea. I think he's going to play 24 or 28 minutes a game. I got Sarr, and I got Dalton Connect.
I've got 4 of the same 5 guys as James.
That's my guy. Right?
I've got Zach Edey, Dalton Connect, Stephon Castle, Zachary Shea, and give me Bub Carrington as my 5th instead of Sarr.
So you think the Wizards are just going to say, roll the ball out and say, hey, rookies, go and just go learn on the fly?
I just don't think Sarr is going to be that impressive. Like, he'll have every chance to be, but there's going to be a lot of failure there. And I think Bub Carrington is going to be more smoothly adapting to the NBA.
I think the opposite. I think Bub, a big Bub fan, I think he is going to take him some time. I think it's easier to plug and play a 5. And again, preseason is, I guess you can take it for what it is. But like preseason, Sarr was hitting threes. He had chemistry with Poole. He's going to get, should be able to get 2 dunks, make a 3. He's going to block. Defensively, he's going to be very good. I think he is the easier to project of the two because Bub, he struggled last year as a freshman to make shots. I don't think that's going to change, but I do like him long term.
You can make a case and say Keyshawn George was better in the preseason than Bub Carrington.
He looked good.
Yeah.
He looked good. I actually am right in the middle. I think people are going to put so much pressure on Sarr. I don't think he makes the first team. I think he'll be second team, but I mean, for me, my 5 is Reed Shepherd, Reese Shea, Stephon Castle, pretty much going in a lot of the first round guys here, Klingon, and then I also have Carrington. I think his counting stats are going to be so high. The efficiency, I agree with James on, is like that's going to be low. But I do think that he is going to get good numbers. He could easily inch towards 15, 5, and 5. On how many shots, who knows? But I think he could easily get up there, and that's going to be really appealing. He'd be second rookie of the year for me if we're just going off totals. But I think people are not going to give somebody from the Wizards that they have the worst record in the league like we project them to.
And see, here's the thing about Sarr. In my opinion, I feel like because he was so bad in Summer League, it's being held somewhat against him. He was awful in Summer League, but I thought he looked a lot better in the preseason, even though I think he had was it him, Bronny, and Jordan Poole, or was it Kuzma that had like the worst plus minus in the preseason? Maybe Bronny. Well, Bronny probably finished with it because I want to say that graphic came out like the day before they got smacked by like 50.
Yeah, he probably cooked him.
I was just going to say one other thing on Sarr. I mean, Jordan Poole, I saw this earlier, said how I did pretty much the exact same thing. Everyone was slandering him, but nobody's giving him credit for getting better in the last 3 months. So just wanted to add that. But second team, I'll let somebody else go ahead.
I read that Reese Shea only played like 45 minutes total in the preseason. I think that he's going to have an opportunity, a real good opportunity, but I also find it a little odd that he's not getting a lot of buzz for Rookie of the Year. And some aren't even seeing him as the lock for all rookie, even though he was the #1 pick. and he has a premier playmaker to get him the ball. And I think he has a path to get some really easy shots. It's just a matter of, can he knock him down?
I think Risaché's got the clearest path to the easiest shots, other than Zach Edey. Edey's going to have jaw set and lobs. Trae Young's going to make Risaché look a lot better. And the reason that I was critical, James was critical of Risaché, was we don't think he had game-changing individual ability to score, but he doesn't need to when he plays with Trae Young. Like, that's not who I would take with the number 1 overall pick. But if we're talking about efficiency year one and impact year one, I think his life's made so much more easy than a lot of these other guys. And like Bub Carrington, this is the perfect example. His life's going to be hard, but if he hits it big, he's going to have every opportunity to do so because the Wizards are going to be terrible. So I can get the second team, but I just thought I'd add that. My second team is Donovan Clingan, Reed Shepherd, Dillingham, Kel'el Ware, and Matas Buzelis.
I got Reed, Clingan, Buzelis. I think Keyshawn George is going to sneak on there. And that last spot is tricky, man. It's tricky. I was thinking Ryan Dunn, but I think that, I don't know if the minutes are going to be there. I think the jump shot, he might cool off. But I want to say that last spot is going to be Kel'el Ware. I think eventually he cracks that starting 5.
Yeah, I realized I didn't have Edey on there. That was probably the hardest omission. I'm just very high on Clingan, but I think in hindsight, just after even saying it aloud, I would swap them. But I mean, my 5 is I've got Sarr, got Edey, I got Kel'el Ware, so a lot of bigs on this one. Dalton Connect, and I think this could be a wild card. I mean, every year there's somebody past the 20th pick that makes all rookie. Ryan Dunn seems like the best candidate early on, but I mean, there could be a second rounder that emerges. I'm just looking through. There's nobody that truly pops in that regard, but maybe Pelle Larsson. He's had a really good last few months. I mean, I'd probably put Ryan Dunn there.
All right, here's a question for you. And, we've talked about it before. We pretty much talked about it all last season. This was not considered a strong draft class. And so now with the season getting ready to start, how many rookies will be in the starting lineup on opening night? Is there any lock, even from the top 5 guys, that you expect to be in the starting 5 on opening night?
Edey is a lock because Jaren Jackson's out. Well, no.
Yeah, he's going to start.
Yeah, he's going to start. But, I mean, Brandon Clark has played well. But I think Edey is a lock, and I think Risacché should be a lock. After that, Donovan Clingan should start, but you got to showcase 8 and see if you can get him out the paint. But other than that, yeah.
I want to add something. When Robert Williams is healthy, I can't imagine he's in their long-term plans.
No, he's going to get traded as soon as he can run up and down the court twice.
So you have to showcase him.
That's true, too.
So if you got to showcase him, then where is Clingan going to get the minutes? Unless it's one of those things where you're going to see, like, in March, he's going to play like 35 minutes a game in March. But prior to that, I don't know how many minutes he's going to get once Williams is healthy. Plus, that trade was so bad for the Blazers, in my opinion. And Williams I think he's the only thing left from the Dame Lillard trade. So you have to at least look like you got something out of it and flip him for something.
Yeah, I'm looking at this. I mean, even some of the guys on the Wizards aren't guaranteed to start. I mean, with them signing Valanciunas, Sarr's not. I think he will start. But, I mean, just going down it, like, that would require Kispert to probably play the 2. Like, if you have Bilal, you have Valanciunas, you have Sarr. Kispert, that's 4 guys right there. Brogdon's not healthy right now, but
Kuzma
and Poole. I mean, like,
I think that, but they started Poole. I think Poole's a lock at the 1. I think you got to play Koulibaly, and then they'll flirt with the Kuzma at the 3 situation. I don't think Valanciunas is going to be there past
December 15th when the deadline opened or the trade's open.
And I don't think Brogdon's going to be there, huh?
Who trades for Valanciunas?
The Lakers.
Yeah, somebody who needs interior scoring.
I mean, they could have picked him up this preseason or in the summer he signed a pretty cheap deal.
Hey, he could be a nice 6 man though. Just saying.
Yeah.
Do the Hornets go all in and play Saluan from day one?
How do we forget him not on our rookie team? We know
he's going to get the shots.
He's going to get the shot. He's going to take.
Well, I think he's going to get shots. I just worry about his efficiency, but I wonder if they commit full time because they know they're not going to win anything to playing him from day one. So I don't know if it's an omission or that big of an omission from day one, but I could see him starting.
I think you got to at least fake like you're trying to win for about a month. Like
probably
Utah does every year.
If they do that again, I'm going to be so annoyed.
Well, Leif thinks the Jazz are going to lose 60 games. I've been reading
61.
Does Leif think that, or does Leif want that to happen?
No, I truly believe it.
Because every year they're going to start off smoking hot because Lowry's that good, and then they're like, "Hey, Lowry, hey, go run into that wall real quick, man," and then expectations come back to reality. So, 60 games, Leif.
61 games. We're going 21 and 61. And here's the reason. The Jazz play 35 of their first 40 games against teams that are projected to win 37 games or more. So at that point, you're just going to be losing because even if you try, you're going to lose. And they play all of December on the road. So even if the Jazz do start 10-3 with the crown jewel Wembanyama there, which I was at the game, and I was so mad, so mad when we win that game. I don't think it's possible. I just don't think there's enough quality on the basketball team, and their turnover woes are going to be insurmountable against good teams.
But they've never lost 60 games in the history of the franchise. So you're saying this is the worst Utah Jazz team ever assembled, including the New Orleans Jazz.
Yeah, I truly believe it.
Hey, one thing, man, I don't know. You say that, but they're surprisingly good at home, especially early in the year. I mean, even, what was it, 2 years ago? I think it was the year the
we're passionate out here, Richard.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. But I mean, I'm just looking back at the 22-23 schedule. The year the Nuggets won the championship, they beat them at home. They started 3-0. They beat Memphis twice at home. They beat the Lakers both at home and away. They won on the road at the Clippers. Through the first 3 weeks, every single year they overachieve. I don't think they're going to lose 61 games. They might lose 50 to 55.
Leif is going to have them.
You are way low on this team. Unless Martin gets hurt the first minute, I don't see it.
Leif's going to have them losing 50 games post Christmas.
We'll talk about this come May. I feel pretty good about it.
Leif has his eyes on Cooper Flag in Salt Lake City. All right, when we return, have a few more questions for the guys. I want to ask, who's going to be the first lottery pick sent to the G League, and which rookies are going to see rotation minutes on a playoff team? And it's kind of hinted at it earlier. Who is the second round pick that is going to surprise? But before we get into that, let's talk about BetterHelp. Halloween lets us have fun with things that scare us. But what about those fears that don't involve zombies and ghosts? Well, therapy is a great tool for you to help you face your fears and find ways to overcome them, because sometimes the scariest thing is not facing our fears in the first place. It's the fears that are holding us back. So if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It is entirely online. It is designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you have to do is just fill out a brief questionnaire, get matched with a licensed therapist. You can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. So overcome your fears with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA. All right, last segment, man. This has been fun. I wish we could go for a couple hours. Have one of those Joe Rogan 3-hour podcasts. I know there's a lot of takes you want to get off. All right, let's just jump right into it. It happens every year. Who is the first lottery pick or first round pick you can choose to get sent to the G League?
I'll go first. I'll do the lottery. I'm going to use the cheapest answer possible, but I'm going to say it. Nikola Topic. If he even counts, I don't like someone like him. It's a cheap answer, but man, I want to be right. I think it's somebody who's actually there because of, just not enough playing time. I think it's Dillingham. I was I don't know if that's a scorching hot take or anything, but who knows how their rotation will be.
Yeah, I can't figure it out. I can't figure Dillingham out because
that trade cooked him, man.
What's that?
That trade cooked his minutes.
Against
even
Chicago.
Chico can play backup point guard minutes.
Yeah, that's true. Because against Chicago, he only played 6 minutes in a preseason game, and then I want to say it was the last preseason game after that where they probably just, didn't matter. They let him play a lot.
I think, sorry, Leaf, but I think the first lottery pick that's going to spend time in the G League is Cody Williams. And I think it would be good for him. I think that you need to force him to be aggressive. I think that passive basketball that he's shown to have under his belt these years, I don't think that this is the place for it. Again, I know your first team all tank 61 games. Leaf, you kind of young. Ralph, you remember that movie Major League when they were trying to sell the Indians, the Cleveland Indians at the time, not trying to be derogatory. The owner got mad every time they won a game. And yeah, that's what Leaf is going to be when the Jazz win. But I think Cody should spend time in the G League to, help him get better.
I got a question, though. I want to add that. If they're as bad as Leaf expects them to be, and your top 10 pick isn't in your rotation, is in the G League, what does that say?
Ask Taylor Hendricks. That's what it was for him.
Well,
right?
So, yeah, let me jump in here. The Jazz, the last 3 years, have had multiple rookies. So last year, Keontae George played from day one, but Hendricks didn't play till basically January, and then he played a lot in March and April. The year before that, Ochai Agbaji, he was a 4-year product, still barely played up until the new year. Then they made some trades, and then he played a lot, and they're like, oh, Agbaji's part of our future. Next year, they traded him. This year, I did a podcast, and it was basically saying Cody Williams might be best served to go to the G League, but the Jazz have been pretty stingent about playing him as the 7th man. It's he and John Collins coming together as the first 2 substitutions of every preseason game. Then when Lauri Markkanen missed a preseason game as well as John Collins, you would be like, oh, who's going to start at the 3? And I can't remember if Sexton was out or George was out, but one of those guys was out. You'd expect it to be Clarkson who gets the start. It was Cody Williams, and he had 17 in that game. I don't necessarily think he's going to be amazing, but I do think the Jazz are making a very pointed effort to make him play with the good players, even though I think it could behoove him and the Jazz to play Cody Williams in the G League and make him be aggressive because he's kind of fits in by nature.
Off the top of my head, the Toppage one is the easiest one, but I don't even know if he plays this year. I think it's going to be like a full redshirt year. I can't see Cody going because I think that they want to at least give him opportunities to succeed. The Dillingham one, on one hand, I could see it.
I still wouldn't send him down, though. Just because Conley is 38. I don't want Conley to play too many minutes, right? And you're going to have nights where, again, I know Minnesota's trying to win, but I think there are going to be nights where you can find 12 minutes here, 12 minutes there for Dillingham, even with DiVincenzo there. But that might just be me being pro Dillingham.
I think Dillingham plays because Conley's that good of a vet. Like you talked about the Jazz starting well that year. Mike Conley was there when they started 10-3. They trade Mike Conley the next year, and the Jazz are significantly worse, and then somehow, for inexplicable reasons, decide to get back to 500. But I think he's going to help Dillingham so much that there's going to be growing pains. There are for everyone. Dillingham's going to play in those games that Mike Conley rests, so that's why he doesn't get dropped off. And also, I think he plays as a scorer next to some guys that come off the bench as well. And DiVincenzo helps him there, even though he takes some of those minutes we thought would be Dillingham's.
I got one. Devin Carter.
Who knows anything about Devin Carter?
I mean, he's injured, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if he wasn't out till like January, I would have said him too as the cheap answer.
But yeah, I think they're going to start him in the G League. Like,
see, that's another weak answer because that's going to be like a condition.
Hey, I gave a very weak answer. I'll actually give a better answer for somebody that I think will go to the G League. And then I have 2 guys that I look at that are going to probably go to the G League. And then by January, they'll fill in for injuries pretty well because it's just inevitable. One is, and this applies more to the first guy. The second guy I just think is going to need reps and probably won't help winning too much this year. But the first one, Dylan Jones. I mean, going from the Big Sky to the NBA is such a jump. I think he's going to be there from the start with the Blue. I think he's somebody, though, that could, if things go well in the G League, which I like Dylan Jones. I think they will. He could be somebody that comes in and, he'll be in the G League. He'll step in when, say, Jalen Williams gets hurt for a game or 2 or something and someone else is hurt. because it inevitably happens for every team at some point. Another guy who I think this guy went top 20, and I could see it, is Jacoby Walter. I mean, he might spend the whole year kind of like Jett Howard, but I could see him being the full G League stash guy. And they're pretty similar archetype to me. So
that's a good one. See, way to make up for that, Rick. You scared me.
I always come around or try.
I think AJ Johnson should spend the entire season in Wisconsin.
That's not even a limb to go off on, though. Like, it's expected for him to be out in the G League.
Yeah, I mean, he was drafted ahead of Dylan Jones. And I think we talked about it on a previous episode. I think Terrence Shannon is probably one of the weirder ones because I don't see a path for him to get playing time. But sending him to the G League, he's going to average 30 a game. I mean, he averaged 25 a game at the end of the season in the what was it? The conference tournament or whatever. You figure put him in the G League, longer game, faster pace. I don't know if playing in the G League really suits him. All right, last couple questions. Which rookies do you think we'll see outside of Zach Edey rotation minutes on a playoff team?
Jared McCain, easiest answer. I think he's going to be so hard to keep off the floor.
Did you see that video where Kyle Lowry's like, dude, shut the camera off? Did you see that one?
That doesn't surprise me one bit.
Yeah, he seems like legitimately annoyed by Jared McCain. I guess he was vlogging and he's like, dude, cut the camera off.
Hey, that's a generational gap right there. That's what that is.
Yeah.
Kyle Lowry's almost 40 years old. Jared McCain's what, 21?
Yeah. I think
I don't know if Philly's necessarily the place, but I think McCain's just enthusiasm is actually really good for a basketball team. Like Maxi's kind of the same way. Like he's just kind of a happy-go-lucky guy, and I think it's helpful for taking the pressure off of a guy like Embiid and Paul George. That said, if he's thrust into extra minutes because of those injury concerns, not playing back-to-backs, I think there's going to be a lot of scrutiny because Philly's not exactly the most patient. I think Devin Carter, if he gets healthy, could play for the Kings because they need a perimeter stopper.
They had one, Davion Mitchell, and
I know
him out for
to make shots too, man.
Yeah, but that's the thing is they're going to believe that Carter shoots better. He and Keon Ellis are going to have equal opportunity if Carter gets healthy quickly enough. Is one guy I think, and I actually think the Kings will be pretty solid this year.
For me, it's Dalton Connect. I think that he's an obvious choice as far as playing rotation minutes as a rookie on a playoff team.
I'm gonna go with Ryan Dunn. I can't believe you guys didn't say Ryan Dunn. That man has a new lease on life. We already know he's a great defender, but listen, the confidence that whatever that is embodying him, that spirit, I don't think that's gonna die. Like we talked about right off that meme where Draymond was poking on Kevin Durant's chest. That's gonna be Kevin Durant poking on Ryan Dunn's chest. Like I don't know. I just think that dude is a whole new person. He's free from the shackles of Virginia, and I think he's gonna play a lot of minutes in Phoenix.
Well, we'll see.
I hope he is because that's my guy. I want the 2 years ago claim to fame of saying this is the breakout guy, and all of a sudden he's playing next to Kevin Durant, and he's better than Royce O'Neal on defense, and Royce O'Neal was the defensive stopper. So if he shoots those dare shots at an adequate percentage, even like 33%, he's got a spot. So I mean, I think we did a podcast about this. Is we were like, if he just makes some, he's going to be a top 20 guarantee in a redraft. So that's the best answer in terms of the playoffs. I wouldn't be stunned if Ryan Dunn's on the second team just because of defensive ability.
I told Rob that if Ryan Dunn could just shoot 33% from three.
Yeah, but you told me this like last week. It's not like you said this when he was going 1 for 13 in summer league.
Yeah, well, I'm not stupid. I mean, like I said, man, he found his fingertips. Whenever he took those gloves off, like this is a new man.
Somebody commented on YouTube, James always talking about Ryan Dunn's hands. I'm not 100% sold yet. I think he's having an outer body experience. In the words that I'm paraphrasing of Jay-Z on Imaginary Player, he was like, I'm all year money. You got flash now, but I'm time to reveal money or something like that. I wonder, will time reveal that Ryan Dunn is the shooter that we saw in college, or is he that dude we saw in the preseason? Again, he made more threes in one game than Reed Shepherd made the whole entire preseason. Imagine if there were some betting odds on that. How much would you have won? A lot.
Crazy.
I might have been able to retire off that one. All right, last question. Which second round pick exceeds expectations? I'm going to go first here. If he gets the opportunity, and it's a big if, I'm going with AJ Mitchell. I think that
Man, if it's way too big.
if it's a big if.
Zach
but
Edey big.
I think if he gets the opportunity, I don't see a world where he's not super productive.
I got two. I'll go with Tyler Kolek, which is not a super bold one.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's going to be games, whether Brunson's hurt or resting, that Kolek's able to run the ship and just be a heady, stalwart type of guard that you're like able to rely upon at an early juncture in his career. And then one that's a little more bold, I'll go with Kashad Johnson from Arizona. He's playing with the Heat. And I told Richard while we were at the Combine, I saw Kashad Johnson shoot, and I was like, man, if the Heat get him, this could be really a pain in the butt for everyone. And I was like, I might take him just to prevent that opportunity at the Heat and the Celtics. I didn't say it that clearly, but I was like, this is the Heat culture guy. And we had a conversation, be like, man, that's the perfect place because he had a really good game, one of the scrimmages. And he's on the Heat, so I'm just going to stick with that. I think he's a really solid player. He's a great athlete, very good defender, and if he shoots like he did in the Combine and in the Summer League, I don't know exactly how well he's done in the preseason, but I think there's just a way that he'll find a way to be productive on a good basketball team.
I'm going next. Richard, I'm cutting you in line because it looked like you wanted to talk, and I don't want you to take my.
I don't mind.
All right, Rob, we talked about him. It's going to be Jalen Wells. He's going to be too undeniable. He's not going to miss. He cuts. It's Jalen Wells. Now, people, my old pods, I don't really have to explain to you.
I love the Jalen Wells pick. I was considering saying him. I'll go with the guy. Shame on you, Leif, for going off of your brand. I'll say Jamal Shed. I literally wrote in the comments. I said, "Watch, he's going to say number 2 as soon as you said number 1." I was like, "It's going to be Jamal Shed." I'm shocked you didn't even. Well, this is a first round pick, but you didn't even mention Baylor Shireman's name. Like, I don't even know if we're talking to the real Leif Thulin right now.
AI Leif. It's a clone.
It's AI Leif.
You're talking to an under the weather Leif Thulin right now. I'm maybe I'm not thinking properly.
If Jamal Shed is that guy, then that means Davion Mitchell is almost out.
Yeah. They're competing. They're the exact same player right now.
Yeah.
At this point, I think Shed obviously has more point guard skills and like more upside. But at the moment, if Shed's better, Davion's days are numbered.
Yeah.
In the NBA.
Yeah. Well, I think he's going to be a guy that, on one hand, I'm like, he needs to go to like a really good team that has a lot of offense where he can just come in and be like that point of attack defender. But then I'm like, dang, he kind of had that in Sacramento. So I don't know. If he loses that, it's going to be an uphill battle. Well, that wraps up this episode of the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast. This was a fun one, having the whole team on. Man, I want to do it often. We just probably going to have to split the episodes up into 2. But before we go, I want to let you know that your favorite podcast now has a newsletter. So whether it's Locked On Lakers, Mavs, Rockets, Nuggets, Wizards, whoever, your favorite team has a newsletter, and it's a one-stop for ultimate team and league coverage, and it is delivered right to your inbox. So sign up for free at lockedondaily.com. That's Locked On Daily. Start your day with the all-new and free Locked On newsletter for your favorite team. Once again, it's Rafael Barlowe with the whole squad today. James Barlowe, Leif Thulin, and Richard Stayman. And we are out of here.